Next, Abdul Rahman.
So I have a question from chapter 28, verse 18.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم قال رب بما أنعمت علي فلن نكون ظهيرا للمجرمين. He said, my Lord, because of the favor you have bestowed upon me, I will never be a helper of the guilty.
Can you kind of explain to us what is the meaning of طهيرا للمجرمين? What is the meaning of طهيرا للمجرمين?
That is very clear. I don't see any ambiguity about the word mujrimeen. The question I think should have been raised as to why did he break this promise to Allah? Because he immediately promised after the death of that person, oh God, I promise now I shall never help the mujrimeen. And the very next morning, or a few days after, perhaps the very next morning, he seems to help a mujrim. That should be the question. If you own this question, then I can answer it. Tell us. Will you stick to your old question about who mujrimeen are, or will you stick to this reformed question? Okay. You better first translate this. Before I begin to answer this question, I should like the Imam Sahib, to recite this verse as well as the ones which follow. Or the verse before as well, please.
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ودخل المدينة على حين غفلة من أهلها فوجد فيها رجلين يقتتلان هذا من شيعته وهذا من عدوه فاستغاثه الذي من شيعته على الذي من عدوه فوكزه موسى فقضى عليه قال هذا من عمل الشيطان إنه عدو مضل مبين قال رب إني ظلمت نفسي فاغفر لي فغفر له إنه هو الغفور الرحيم قال رب بما أنعمت علي فلن نكون ظهيرا للمجرمين فأصبح في المدينة خائفا يترقب فإذا الذي استنصره باللمس يستصرخه قال له موسى إنك لغوي مبين فلما أن أراد أن يبطش بالذي هو عدو لهما قال يا موسى أتريد أن تقتلني كما قتلت نفسا باللمس إن تريد إلا أن تكون جبارا في الأرض وما تريد أن تكون من المصلحين.
Then
وجاء رجل من أقصى المدينة يسعى.
That's all. There is some very interesting expression used in this verse which has not been noticed by many people. First of all, he did not make a promise like the people of the boat who were surrounded by a storm, that if you forgive me, then I'll mend my ways. He did not pray at all. He just interfered, and after killing the man, then he makes this promise which is mentioned. You can read these two verses, it's very apparent. Bima anamta alayya is a thing which happened after he had already killed. Please.
قال رب إني ظلمت نفسي فاغفر لي فغفر له إنه هو الغفور الرحيم قال رب بما أنعمت علي فلن نكون ظهيرا للمجرمين.
Now this act of forgiveness was a result of the repentance of what he had done to that man. It has nothing to do with the promise made to Allah that if I escape this crime, then I will do this and that. He sought forgiveness of that act which he realized was not right. Understand? And because Allah forgave him, it was in recognition of Allah's grace that he says that you have forgiven me, so I will not repeat this act. The next day, when he sees the same person fighting another adu, who was an enemy of the people of Hazrat Musa, and the person who was involved in another war, the first address is that you are mujrim. Correct? Categorically, Hazrat Musa declares him to be the mujrim. Well, every day he picks up a new quarrel. You see? But at that moment, this was the fault, human fault, which seems to overtaken him. All the same, he wanted to interfere, despite the fact that this Bani Israeli man was the mujrim. Maybe he intended just to separate them. Maybe he intended to make both understand the reality of the position, exact position. Because the verses of the Holy Quran do not say that he decided to kill the man again, like he had done before. Now when you read these verses, then the meaning will become more clear again.
فَأَصْبَحَ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ خَائِفًا يَتَرَقَّبُ فَإِذَا الَّذِي اسْتَنصَرَهُ بِاللَّمْسِ يَسْتَصْرِخُهُ قَالَ لَهُ مُوسَى إِنَّكَ لَغَوِيٌّ مُبِينٌ فَلَمَّا أَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يَبْطِشَ بِالَّذِي هُوَ عَدُوٌّ لَهُمَا قَالَ يَا مُوسَى أَتُرِيدُ أَنْ تَقْتُلَنِي كَمَا قَتَلْتَ نَفْسًا
Now,
بِالنَّفْسِ.
Yabtasha is the word.
Yeah.
He wanted to defend this man against him, despite the fact that he knew that this Israeli person has a habit of picking up quarrels with others. But this is the moment where he was overtaken by his personal prejudices in favor of the Israelites and against the people who ruled them. But Allah saved him from indulging that act, because at that moment the person who was already being fought, the person who was involved in a row between the person of yesterday, he reminded Moses, are you not the same person who did this same thing to a person yesterday? And now you are going to repeat this act? Now this thing happened before he had done anything, which means Allah prevented him from repeating this crime or breaking his vow. You understand? It's very obvious. But why was this permitted to happen? It was because that this was the only means by which Moses could be informed to leave the Medina. This became instrumental for Moses to gain knowledge as to what was happening in the palace, and what was being decided about him among the higher authorities. So that is how you find this mistake, but this mistake led to a great purpose, led to a purpose beneficial for Moses. Otherwise Allah may not have done all this at all. Understand? So this is a very minute philosophy hidden in this statement. Please. You understand the point? Good. Next.
Hazur, was all these events before Hazrat Musa was commissioned as a prophet of God?
All these things happened before he was commissioned as a prophet.
Yes.
But that is no defense of him. The point is, as a God-fearing person, he had made a promise with God, which he was about to break, it appears. And Allah saved him from that breaking. First, he showed his favor by forgiving him, then by saving him from this break of his promise. So he did not commit the crime which he was about to commit, it appears. So that is how Allah was so kind to him. First he forgave him, then he prevented him from committing the same crime again and breaking his promise. And the second act, he showed another favor to him. By the same act he came to learn his own predicament, that he was in danger in that town. So he must leave as soon as possible. All these things are beautifully connected.
So because when the leading Egyptian newspaper, they have related this very incident to a woman. They said Hazrat Musa was about to marry a woman from the royal family, and he had to kill this man to clear his way. So this is
the only answer is ha ha ha. Okay.